Who would win, Odin Marvel Comics or Mr. Mxyzptlk DC Comics? Odin, the Lord of Asgard, is not only a legendary warrior, but also a symbol of ultimate wisdom, power, and responsibility. In the Marvel Universe, he is not simply a ruling god. Odin is the embodiment of both primal power and wisdom accumulated over billions of years of history of the realms. From the moment he absorbed the power of ancient energies, Odin was far beyond the limits of any other divine being in the Marvel Universe. His power is not only expressed through physical strength or magical energy, but also through the ability to maintain the balance between the universe, order, and chaos. When talking about Odin, people often think of the Odinforce, the transcendent energy flowing through his veins. This is a power that surpasses all common concepts of magic or cosmic energy. The Odinforce allows him to restructure matter, alter reality, and even regenerate destroyed dimensions. At times, this energy was so powerful that it threatened to destroy the very fabric of the multiverse if he were not restrained. Therefore, Odin was revered not only for his power, but also for his ability to control himself in a way that even many other gods could not. In Asgard's history, Odin had faced cosmic forces of terrifying power, such as Surtur, Mangog, or enemies from other dimensions. The battle between him and Surtur was one of the clearest demonstrations of the scale of Odin's power. When Surtur's eternal fire threatened to burn the entire multiverse, Odin used all his divine power to stop the chain reaction. The scene was like a storm of divine energy. White gold light covered the sky. The universe shook under the pressure of two ancient forces. The mere fact that he stopped that cosmic fire proved that Odin possessed the ability to manipulate reality on a cosmic level. Odin's power is not limited to his ability to fight or destroy. He is a symbol of wisdom and a deep understanding of cosmic order. Odin always sees the big picture, understanding that power without reason can become a disaster. He is the one who established the ancient rules that protect the Nine Realms, the one who creates the energy barrier that maintains order between the realms. In many versions of the story, it is Odin who maintains the thread of fate, a form of cosmic energy that helps parallel realms exist stably. Odin is also a master of the arts of combat and magic. No one in Asgard can match him in terms of tactics and improvisation. In combat, Odin does not only use pure force, but also combines magical energy, physical strength, and strategy. Each swing of Gungnir, his legendary spear, is not just an attack, but also contains billions of years of knowledge of cosmic energy. With just a slight movement, he can shake the entire planet, or stop the flow of time in a certain area. However, what makes Odin most different is the will of a king who bears the responsibility of the world. He understands that each of his decisions can affect the existence of countless worlds. Therefore, Odin never acts on emotion. When faced with the risk of destruction, he often chooses the path of self-sacrifice to protect the balance of the universe. In many cases, Odin has used his own soul to seal destructive forces that are beyond his control. Another factor that makes Odin great is his connection to the divine cosmos. Odin can sense changes in the fabric of space, time, and energy. He knows when a star is about to die, when dimensions begin to collide. This sense does not come from mere prophecy, but from his absolute harmony with the flow of the universe. In Odin's eyes, the universe is not an endless void, but a symphony of energy, and he is the conductor who keeps it from falling into chaos. Odin's physical strength is also on a terrifying level. He can fight in the vacuum of space, withstand the energy of supernovae, and collide with other cosmic entities without weakening. However, the most terrifying thing is not his blows, but his will. Odin's will can bend reality to his will, a form of energy control that is akin to the reality creation of abstract entities. While this ability is not on the level of Mr. Mxyzptlk within the scope of a universe, Odin is almost absolute. Odin is the perfect combination of strength, wisdom, and leadership. He is the only god in Marvel who can both destroy a dimension and save it with compassion. His power is not a boast, but a symbol of the complex nature of power, at once creative, destructive, and responsible. When Odin is compared to any entity, one must not only compare their power, but also the depth of spirit and philosophy they represent. In the DC universe, there are entities that transcend all physical laws, transcend the concepts of time, space, and cause and effect. Among them, Mr. Mxyzptlk is a unique phenomenon. He is not a god nor a magician, but a being from the fifth dimension, where the laws of reality are incomprehensible to humans or even lower gods. Mxyzptlk is a symbol of absolute freedom from all constraints of the three-dimensional universe. He can do, change, and erase anything at will without having to follow any limits. Mr. Mxyzptlk's power is almost impossible to quantify by conventional measures. In the world of DC, he is considered an entity that controls reality at the multiverse level, even beyond the limits of space and time. With a snap of his fingers, he can turn entire galaxies into a piece of paper, then unfold it as if nothing had happened. He can turn omnipotent beings into toys, or recreate entire universes in a moment of inspiration. Mxyzptlk actions require no energy or magic, they are simply will-made real. One of the clearest demonstrations of his power is his battle with Batmite, another entity from the fifth dimension. The two turn the entire multiverse into a battlefield of their own prank. During the conflict, the laws of physics were bent, space was folded, time itself was reversed. They not only warped one reality, but almost erased the entire multiverse. It is a power no longer limited to the concept of gods, but the level of creators, entities whose existence even time cannot register in the normal way. What makes Mr. Mxyzptlk so terrifying is not just his limitless power, but his mischievousness and his attitude towards the universe as a game. In many stories, he has no motive for destruction, but his every action is enough to cause cosmic catastrophe. For Mxyzptlk, turning Superman into a wax figure or making the entire metropolis exist as a cartoon are trivial pastimes. It is his lack of moral restraint that makes him unpredictable. A being with limitless creativity, who acts on the whim of his emotions, is a greater threat than any other DC villain. Theoretically, Mxyzptlk exists in a higher plane of reality than the entire DC multiverse. That means that what we call universes, dimensions, or linear time, are to him just two-dimensional concepts, thin pages in a book that he can flip through at will. When Mxyzptlk entered Superman's universe, he was essentially projecting a small portion of his energy onto the three-dimensional level. That single sliver of energy was enough to completely disrupt the order of reality in which humans lived. Mxyzptlk has no cognitive limitations. He knows every version of himself in different timelines, and can talk and interact with past or future versions. This makes him virtually immortal and omniscient within the scope of the fifth dimension. There is no past or future for him. Every moment exists simultaneously. This is why any attempt to prevent Mxyzptlk is meaningless, because he already knows the outcome before it begins. Mxyzptlk's reality manipulation powers far exceed any form of magic that any magician in DC can use. Even Dr. Fate, one of the most powerful magicians, can only temporarily seal Mxyzptlk's energy, but cannot destroy or control it. This comes from the nature of fifth dimension power. It is not energy to be used, but control of the logical structure of reality. In other words, while Odin can bend the laws of physics in his universe, Mxyzptlk can rewrite those very laws. A classic example of this ability is when the Joker temporarily absorbed 99% of Mxyzptlk's power. In that moment, Joker turned the entire DC universe into a metaphysical comedy stage, where every hero and villain was warped to his will. However, it is worth noting that Mxyzptlk still retained 1% of his power, and with just that small fraction, he restored the entire reality, erasing all the changes that Joker made. This detail alone is enough to demonstrate the terrible disparity between him and any other entity in DC. In terms of physical strength, Mxyzptlk does not need to use muscles. However, if he wanted to, he could manipulate reality to create limitless power. In one instance, while teasing Superman, Mxyzptlk pulled an entire universe out of his helmet and held it in one hand, just to prove that the concept of weight was meaningless to him. The sight was not only a demonstration of physical strength, but also a demonstration of the overlap between concept and reality in Mxyzptlk's power. However, Mxyzptlk's humorous nature and erratic personality make him not a ruler. He does not seek power or recognition. All his actions stem from the joy of disrupting the monotony of reality. Sometimes he helps Superman, sometimes he becomes a threat, and sometimes he simply wants to see how the world reacts to his pranks. However, it is this absolute freedom that makes Mxyzptlk almost invincible. No one can defeat an entity for whom failure is just part of the fun, and reality is just a canvas to be redrawn at any time. Mr. Mxyzptlk is the symbol of unlimited power without constraints. He needs no weapons, no rituals, no energy to operate his power. He simply exists, and that existence is enough to shake all the laws of the multiverse. When Mxyzptlk is placed on the scale of power, all concepts of limits become meaningless. He is the embodiment of absolute creativity, and also proof that power does not need a reason to exist. Because for him, the universe is just a stage where he plays the role of the almighty director. The clash between Odin and Mr. Mxyzptlk would be one of the most cosmic events ever to take place. One was the god of order, the keeper of balance between the realms. The other was the mischievous being of the fifth dimension, the embodiment of absolute freedom and chaos. Both wielded the power to shape reality, but differed in the nature of that power. The scene of the battle could not be confined to ordinary space. When these two energies collided, the universe itself split into many pieces. Stars were stretched into endless threads of light, and dimensions were distorted like flowing water. At the center of this chaos, Odin appeared in the form of the supreme god, his Asgardian armor glowing golden, his spear Gungnir in his hand, his eyes glowing like two burning suns. On the other side, Mxyzptlk appeared in a strange outfit, a mischievous smile on his face, a mixture of childlike and omniscient. Odin was the first to take the lead. A wave of divine energy filled the air, ancient runes swirling around him, each symbol carrying the power to crush entire galaxies. He swung Gungnir, creating a pillar of light that pierced the void, piercing through billions of layers of reality. Under that attack, realms shook. Stars fell from their orbits, and dimensions began to collapse in pieces. Odin was using the Odinforce at its purest level, a power that could burn the entire Marvel universe if left unchecked. Mxyzptlk watched the scene with nothing but fascination. He raised his hand, and everything stopped. The pillar of light turned into soft silk, the runes turned into floating bubbles. With a snap of his fingers, he reversed time, causing Odin's attack to vanish as if it had never existed. The air around them changed from the universe to a giant stage with a red velvet curtain, spotlights shining down, and the audience being bursting stars that turned into fireworks. Mxyzptlk laughed loudly, saying that this was how he preferred to act. Odin understood that he was facing an entity that was beyond all physical limits. He could not win with ordinary strength. So, Odin began to focus his will, the mental power that had once subdued even the ancient gods. He narrowed his mind, completely merging himself with the Odinforce. The space around him became silent, time stopped, all energy was concentrated into a single point. In that moment, Odin was no longer a god, but the embodiment of the cosmic will, the fire of existence. He opened his eyes, and everything disappeared. No stage, no light, just an endless white space. In that space, he reshaped the laws of reality, trying to lock Mxyzptlk's power with his own will. He created a cosmic cube where all energy was controlled, all manipulation was eliminated. But just as he thought he had trapped his opponent, a voice rang out from all directions. "Your will is strong, Odin," Mxyzptlk said. "But you forget that will is also part of reality. And reality, it is. I am rewriting." The cube cracked. Glowing cracks spread, and in a flash, space changed again. They were now standing in the middle of a giant chessboard. Each square a rotating universe, each piece a twisted timeline. Mxyzptlk sat in the air, holding his brush, and every time he drew, the universes changed shape. Odin remained standing, but was clearly drawn into the world that Mxyzptlk created. However, Odin was not easily subdued. He used some of his ultimate energy to penetrate the depths of the concept, where even Mxyzptlk had to respect the laws of existence. There, power was no longer measured by energy or force, but by the meaning of existence. Odin, with billions of years of history and hundreds of civilizations he had protected, carried a huge stream of spiritual energy. He summoned the memories of all the souls that had lived in the Nine Realms, merging into a giant beam of light that pierced countless layers of reality. The beam of light stabbed straight towards Mxyzptlk, as if affirming that there were things that even infinite power could not erase: the will to live and the loyalty of all beings. Mxyzptlk took the blow without resistance. The light consumed him, then shattered into 1,000 shimmering fragments. But a beat later, the fragments coalesced into his form, with his familiar smile. He bowed to Odin and said that the fight was fun, that he could continue this game forever, but that would be no fun. With a blink, the entire battlefield vanished. Odin returned to Asgard, and Mxyzptlk vanished in a puff of purple smoke. It was as if it had never happened, but Odin knew he had just faced a being with no concept of victory or defeat. While he fought to preserve order, Mxyzptlk existed to destroy it, like two sides of a cosmic coin. If we had to choose a winner, the answer would be Mr. Mxyzptlk. The reason lies not in sheer power, but in the nature of power. Odin manipulates reality within the confines of the universe he rules. Mxyzptlk, on the other hand, exists outside of that confinement, unbound by space, time, or logic. Any attempt to attack him is ineffective, because they occur on a lower plane. While Odin is the master of order, Mxyzptlk is the one who writes the very laws that create that order. However, this confrontation is more than just a comparison of power. It also reflects two opposing philosophies. Odin represents responsibility, discipline, and restraint. Mxyzptlk represents freedom, creativity, and the absurdity of reality. Both are necessary for the universe to exist. Without order, everything collapses. But without freedom, everything ceases to grow. So, even though Mxyzptlk was superior in power, Odin remained the symbol of balance, who maintained the foundation upon which all creation could arise. The battle was reduced to recognition. Mxyzptlk, with a mischievous smile, accepted that Odin was one of the few beings he respected.